Welcome to Word of Mouth in Dartmouth. Today we're covering the 2024 Fall Town Meeting warrant. I'm Magnolia McComish, the town's communications coordinator. Today we're going to talk with Dartmouth's co-interim town administrators. Fall Town Meeting is on October 15th, starting at 7 p.m. at Dartmouth High School, located at 555 Bakerville Road. While only town meeting representatives can cast votes, anyone is welcome to join in person or online through the Dartmouth Community Media live stream. Since Fall Town Meeting is less dense, we only have 8 articles to discuss today. Thank you, Chris and Gary, for being here to talk about the warrant. If you could give a little introduction as to who you are and what you're looking forward to today.
Yeah, my name's Gary Carrell. I'm the town's finance director, treasurer. I'm also co-town administrator with interim town administrator with Chris at the moment. This is a busy time for us. Obviously, the town meeting warrant, and right after that, we'll start the budget process for FY26.
And my name's Chris Vitale. I am normally the assistant town administrator, and with Gary, currently serving as the co-interim town administrator for Dartmouth. And thank you for having us here. This
fall, there's only one CPC project on the warrant, and it's our first article. This article is looking to appropriate $25,000 of CPC funding to the Dartmouth Pathways Committee for the Northern Scenic Greenway project. Chris, can you tell me a little bit more about this project?
Absolutely. So this $25,000 project originated through our Pathways Committee here in town. What the project would do is it would fund the preliminary design and surveying for the Northern Scenic Greenway, which is Old Fall River Road here in Dartmouth. This project has been in the works for several years, and ultimately the goal is so that they can have a regional bike network that starts in Rhode Island and goes all the way through to the Cape. So
That's
this
awesome.
Just continues those efforts.
All right. And can you explain a little bit, maybe Gary, how the funding for CPC projects works and why it needs to be on the warrant like this?
So CPC funding is generated off the individual's tax bills. You might see, if you own property in the town, a CPC surcharge. And what that does is that money sits in a separate account, and then the committee then votes on particular projects in the town that need funding or meet the requirements for CPC.
Article 2 looks to transfer $500,000 to surplus revenue to supplement the stabilization fund. Gary, can you tell me a little bit about what surplus revenues are and why it needs $500,000 to fund it?
So what surplus revenue represents, not only for the general fund, but for our enterprise funds like water, sewer, trash, DCTV, waterways, is in addition additional monies that the town can collect because of budgeting practices that the department heads have, a conservative approach to their budgeting, and monies that are basically left over at the end of the fiscal year when we certify with the Department of Revenue. So customarily, we put in $1 million into the stabilization fund each year. This year we're doing 500, and the reason for that is because our rating agencies have, on our last AAA rating that we recertified, recognized the fact that the town is in good financial shape at this point, and that on the town's financial policies, we want to meet at least 10% of our operating revenues. So we already have met that, and so we can now put in $500,000 instead of the $1 million and use that extra $500 for other items such as capital.
Awesome. So even though $500,000 looks like a lot of money going to this, it's actually half of what it typically is because the town is doing so well financially.
Correct.
So now Article 3 asks for $300,000 for collective bargaining and non-union agreements. What's the process for collective bargaining, and what is the funding used for when negotiating?
So right now, we are in the, both Chris and I will be in the process of negotiating all the contracts for the town, as those will be up. So what we have this fund for is to start that process and fund that process, not knowing what that dollar amount will be. This is a small contribution to the fund where it sits in, and then we can draw down on that once those contracts have been settled for ongoing. So this article is for anticipation of collective bargaining contracts.
Staying on the topic of collective bargaining, Article 4 looks to fund the retro payments for FY23, FY25 collective bargaining agreements between the town and the Police Brotherhood. The funding for this article is split between the tax levy, the surplus revenues, $400,000 of which will come from the tax levy and $500,000 will come from surplus revenue. Gary, can you explain why there needs to be supplemental appropriation?
Unlike Article 3, Article 4 is for a contract that has been settled, namely the Police Brotherhood. And what we have to do here is we have to fund now those pays, if you will, through the course of prior fiscal years, and also for FY25. So what happened with this article is we were able to split the allocation between tax levy and surplus revenue, free cash that we call. And so this will make this $900,000 that we're going to contribute to this process whole for the police department. And then when the FY26 budget process starts, we start a whole new process for budgeting their salaries.
So moving on from collective bargaining, Article 5 is looking to accept the Capital Planning Committee report and fund the capital plan for fiscal year 2025. Can you explain what capital planning is and how it gets funding, and then the details that go into this article?
Sure. So capital planning is, most communities have a short-term capital planning, but now we have a long-term capital planning for bigger projects like schools and water sewer infrastructure that the town is looking to potentially renovate down the road. Short-term is mainly maintenance of vehicles, for instance, purchase of vehicles. You'll see in the article this year, we're complementing it with 5 new police cruisers, an administrative vehicle. There's some water and sewer infrastructure that we're looking to do as far as equipment like a Vector truck, which is basically a vacuum truck used for purposes for the utilities. Also, we're looking to do some repairs to schools, some of the bathroom repairs, some painting that's been long overdue. We're looking to do some IT infrastructure in the town, some backup authentication for systems in town, and also replacing some of the town equipment that hasn't been replaced in over 6 years. So there's a gamut of items on here which total over $6.1 million, both for the general fund and the enterprise funds. And we're happy that we're able to fund that this year through CPC and their meetings with the departments.
Article 6 looks to amend the personnel bylaws to adjust salaries and change some positions regarding emergency management. Chris, can you explain what's going on there?
Absolutely. So Article 6 is a little bit of a housekeeping article, and it's designed to do a couple things. One is we have some positions on our books now that are no longer in use, and we're looking to take those off of our books. In addition to that, it's been a little bit of time since we've adjusted some of the salaries, so periodically for our personnel bylaw, for positions that fall under that, we review the salaries and we make adjustments when we feel it's appropriate. In this case, there's a couple of positions that we're looking to adjust this year. One is the Director of Emergency Management, and we also have the Sealers of Weights and Measures, and lastly, we have our Emergency Management Detail Workers, and those positions are funded as needed, or paid as needed, I should say.
Could you explain how the pay increase is determined? Like, how are you deciding?
So we look at other communities, we look at the scope of responsibilities, and based on those comparables, we make that recommendation for the compensation.
So we're not just pulling numbers out of thin air. They're based
That's correct.
on what other communities are proving is the rate.
That's correct.
Article 7 looks to amend the town charter to update the housing authority section. I think we saw this at Springtown meeting, but can you explain what's going on with this amendment and how charter amendments work a little bit?
So when the town meeting voted to approve changes to the town charter, those changes went to the state. The state went and they reviewed those proposed changes, and they came back to the town of Dartmouth and they said, hey, while you're making these adjustments, we just changed state law with regards to the Dartmouth Housing Authority and the composition of the membership. So our council's been working on amending that language, and what they came back with, rather than rehashing what is already written in Mass General Law, the new charter language that we have simply references the state law. So hopefully going forward, if the state of Massachusetts ever makes changes, now we don't have to go back and amend our charter or our bylaws. It'll just reference MGL.
So with charter changes, town meeting is just voting to send it to the ballot in April?
Yes, that's exactly right. So after town meeting, it will be on April's ballot, and if it's approved, it will be enacted effective July 1.
All right. So town meeting isn't really deciding anything. They're just deciding to push it forward. I think that's an important distinction for our town meeting members to keep in mind when thinking about charter amendments.
That's right.
All right, so we've made it to the final article. This article looks to conduct a health insurance study. Chris, can you tell me more about what's going on with this article and why the select board didn't vote in favor of it?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, we have a citizens petition on the warrant. They did meet the required minimum signatures. When we get citizens petitions, we do usually run those by our town council. In this case, our town council has determined that is actually an out of order article. And so based on that, the select board did not vote to recommend it, but there'll be more information at town meeting for town meeting members.
Awesome. Thank you to our town meeting members and to anyone who's interested in the warrant for watching the program. The meeting is on Tuesday, October 15th, starting at 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium, which is located at 555 Bakerville Road. There's also the Dartmouth Community Media live stream and recording of the meeting to watch at any time. If anyone has questions on how to watch the meeting, or if you would like a copy of the 2024 Fall Town Meeting warrant, visit the town clerk's webpage on the town website. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you at the town meeting.